Hello, dear colleagues. My name is Al Muhammad, and today we have an acute dissection of the internal carotid artery with a large perfusion deficit and disabling neurological symptoms. It was a 59 years old patient with acute stroke and NIHSS score of 10. It was a spontaneous dissection of the distal parts of the internal carotid artery, and for the treatment, we've used a Caresto heel stent 8 by 40 millimeters with an antithrombogenic coating, and this stent is very flexible. And recently, we've published the results of our multicentric study about the treatment of acute symptomatic cervical internal carotid artery dissections, and you can find the link to the study in the Journal of Neurointerventional Surgery in the description below. And back to our patient, this is the pre-interventional non-enhanced CT of the brain with no evidence of infarction. And this is the CT angiogram, and as you can see, the right ICA is very narrow at the distal parts of the C1 segment, but it is contrasted in the intracranial segments with no intracranial occlusions. And in the time to drain of the CT perfusion, we can see a large perfusion deficit on the right side. And here we have the post-interventional CT of the brain, and as we can see, there is no complications, no hemorrhage, no infarction. And here we go. We push the long sheath neuromax with the select catheter in the aorta and configure the tip of the select catheter and navigate through the brachiocephalic trunk to the right common carotid artery. And now we perform a 2D angiogram to see the dissection. And as you can see, there is a stop of the contrast agent in the intracranial parts of the ICA, and there is a pseudoaneurysm of the ICA. Now we perform a 2D angiogram of the intracranial arteries, and as you can see, the contrast agent stops in the internal carotid artery, and the intracranial arteries are absent, which means that we have a functional occlusion of the ICA. And now we perform a 3D angiogram to guarantee a smooth navigation of the very narrow segments of the ICA and to ensure that we are not navigating through the pseudoaneurysm. And now we take our working position based on the 3D angiogram and perform a roadmap which will help us push the neuroslider 52 into the internal carotid artery followed by the long sheath neuromax. And now we zoom a little bit so that we can see the very narrow lumen of the ICA and take this 2D angiogram as an overlay and start the navigation. And we should ensure that we are navigating through the true lumen of the ICA at first with the microwire, and we push it a little bit distally, and then we push the dilator of the Caresto stent on the microwire to the distal segments, and after that we can push the neuroslider 52 across the dissection. And now we can push the Caresto stent through the neuroslider 52 to the distal parts of the ICA and start the implantation. And as you can see, the Caresto stent implantation is very similar to flow diverter implantation, and we continue unsheathing the Caresto stent. And for the proximal segments of the stent, we don't need a roadmap. And here we pull back the NeuronMax long sheath a little bit and complete the implantation, and after that we push the NeuronMax long sheath into the Caresto stent. And for the PTA and to maximize the vessel and Caresto diameter, we use a NeuroSpeed PTA balloon catheter and perform many overlapped PTAs all the way down to reach the original vessel diameter. And after finishing the PTAs, we remove the PTA balloon catheter with the microwire and perform a 2D angiogram to see the results. And as you can see, the stent has reconstructed the vessel completely with no remaining of a hemodynamic relevant stenosis. And the stent has made his way through the curves very well with no kinking at the sharp angles. And now we need an angiogram of the intracranial arteries to see the results and exclude complications. And as you can see, all intracranial arteries are contracted with no evidence of occlusion or extravasations. And here we have a large overview of all vessels. And thus we've reached the end of our intervention. As always, if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below. You can contact us per email too. Email addresses and further contact options are in the video description below. Thanks for watching. That was Al Muhammad. See you next time. Peace out.